Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Rose Cottage Acres. Today is experiment day, which means I'm trying some new things. I have some cuttings from some of my hydroponic tomatoes that I've been rooting, and I'm going to pot them up and hope they succeed and I can put them in my little planters, my little salad planters that I put together from the dollar store. And the other thing I'm going to do is something with potatoes that I've never tried before. Last night we had a delicious dish that included some nice red skin potatoes, and I took the peelings and saved them, and now I'm going to try to plant them. I've never done it before, but I've heard it really works, that you can use potato peelings to grow new plants. So we're going to give it a try. So I would imagine if this is going to be successful, I'm going to have the spots where little eyes coming out. But I'm actually going to take these potato peelings and I'm going to plant them all very shallowly, and then I'm going to update you on their progress, and hopefully it works. Apparently a gentleman in Romania has done it, and several other people, and that's how they get their potatoes. From what I understand, you need kind of shallow rows, so I'm not making them as deep as normal. Normally I'd go 4 to 6 inches deep to plant potatoes, but with the peels they said to be a little shallower, so that's what I'm doing here. I made 4 shallow furrows, and this is where I had tomatoes last year, so normally I would put potatoes in a different spot, but since it's an experiment, I'm going to risk it. So I'm just going to be laying these little peelings with their little eyes that are not really that well developed into the rows and covering them up. I actually made a video showing how I did it, and then it didn't record, but that's all I did. Put them in and then covered them. I'm going to come back in with about a ½ inch to an inch of compost to cover it a little bit more, because some of them are barely covered, but that's about it. Now we just have to wait. So this is basically my greenhouse. It's just a shelf in the garage, and got some tomatoes started. I don't love these lights. They're supposed to be specifically for growing, but I don't think they're strong enough. You can see I'm getting some true leaves coming out. This one I had transplanted too soon. He didn't have enough roots and he didn't make it. This guy back here had the same problem, but everyone else is doing really well, and I need to start transplanting a lot of these guys. But this weird pink light, I don't really love it. Right down here I've got some cabbages and things sprouting. Onions haven't sprouted yet. And then my beets are all coming up pretty decent. I don't know if you can see them. They're so tiny. But I put most of my things straight in the ground when I plant, so no peppers yet. And then these are some, I pulled 2 of my potato tubers and put them in a pot about a month early, just so I can try to have some early potatoes. That's about it. So I'm going to get one of these little pots and I'll put my tomato cuttings in them, and hopefully they'll grow on and do okay. I was going to have them wait a little longer to get better development on the roots, but now the leaves are yellowing. I'm going to put them in and just try to keep them damp enough that they can handle the move. So you can see that I pre-moistened this soil mix. That is not pre-moistened, it's very dry. You do not want to try to transplant into this. You want to pre-moisten it like this, because otherwise it's not going to moisten properly. It's going to be really difficult to get it moist enough to help your plant grow and thrive. So I always pre-moisten before I transplant. Just going to make a little hole, because he's a little plant, and I'm going to pop him in. Cover him up, firm the soil around him. Like I said, he's got pretty much moisture in there, so he should be okay. And hopefully we're good to go. Alright, so here is the finished potato bed. I went back and added about a 1/2 inch of compost, and I know a lot of people talk about their problems with cats. I have a cat who's primarily outdoors, who lives in the garage in the studio in inclement weather, but I got him when he was 9 weeks old. I trapped him, and he's never been able to really handle being indoors. So he is a bit of a problem, and I found that just putting a little mesh over here like this is my perfect solution to any beds that aren't already inside the garden fence. So you may want to consider something like this if you've been having problems. Just a little bit of mesh over your raised beds.